The mayor of Lancaster is facing some heat for what he said at a council meeting and how to handle the homeless issue. He suggested give them all fentanyl.
Spoke to Fox 11 about those comments. First, here's what he said at the meeting.
You fall asleep for 1 hour on a sidewalk mattress, not because you want to, because you have nowhere else. You wake up and your bag is gone. Your phone is gone. Your jacket is gone. The small things you needed to feel human are gone. And the worst part is not even the loss. It is the message behind it. You are unprotected. You are an easy target. You do not matter enough for the world to stop. So let me ask you something before this story begins. If you had to sleep outside tonight, what would you protect first? Your ID, your medicine, or your last photo of family? If you were already shaken before the morning even started, how would you keep going? If you knew people might take advantage of you the moment you close your eyes, would you ever fully rest again? And when you walk past someone living that reality, do you see a problem or do you see a person trying to survive the next hour? Because homelessness is not only about the lack of a home, it is about the constant feeling that danger can happen at any moment. It is about losing sleep, losing safety, losing dignity, and still waking up anyway. This documentary is not here to shock for entertainment.
Mayor Rex Paris also says he believes the people of Lancaster stand by him, and there's a reason why he's been elected 6 times.
It is advertiser-friendly, respectful, and policy-safe. We will not glorify harmful behavior. We will not humiliate anyone. We will focus on the human story, the systems behind it, and the choices that can change outcomes. Welcome to Homeless US News. On this channel, we tell real street-level stories with empathy and clarity. We explore why people fall, what keeps them trapped, and what actually helps them climb back out. Tonight's story moves across America's most visible street corridors, places tourists recognize, and places most people avoid. Venice Beach, Kensington, the Tenderloin, Las Vegas backstreets, Phoenix heat, Houston underpasses, Seattle rain, the Bowery in New York, Miami bridge shadows. Different cities, same truth. A housing crisis and a human crisis happening in plain sight. Stay until the end, because we are not ending with despair. We are ending with a plan, a purpose, and a call to action that anyone can take part in.
Assuming you're talking about a meeting that occurred over a month and a half ago, where we were attempting to move the homeless population to a abandoned golf course and use it as a camping ground. And the people that lived near it were obviously not happy with that.
Part 1. The Fall. How normal life breaks fast. Most people do not choose the street. What happens is quieter than that. Life gets expensive. Work gets unstable. A rent increase arrives. A relationship breaks. A health problem appears. A car repair becomes a financial cliff. Then one missed payment becomes 2. Then the landlord posts a notice. Then your friend's couch becomes a short stay, not a solution. Then your phone dies. Then your job application never gets confirmed because you do not have a stable address. Then your sleep becomes shallow because you are always listening. And one day, you realize something terrifying. You did not fall off a cliff. You slid down a slope, and the slope was steeper than you knew. In many large American cities, housing costs can consume more than half of a low-income paycheck. That means stability becomes fragile. One disruption can push someone into a crisis that takes months, sometimes years, to reverse. That is why so many people you see outside today were indoors not long ago. And when people say, "Why don't they just get a job?" they often miss the invisible barriers. No sleep means no focus. No phone means no callbacks. No ID means no paperwork. No shower means you avoid interviews. No safe place means you carry everything you own, all day, every day. Homelessness is not only the loss of a home, it is the loss of rhythm, the loss of routine, the loss of a quiet place to think. And once that rhythm is gone, it becomes easier for other problems to grow. Fear grows, stress grows, health problems grow, and for some people, coping strategies become risky because pain is constant and relief feels urgent. So before we even talk about specific cities, understand this. Homelessness is not over there. It's closer than most people think. If your rent jumped next month, what would you cut first? Food, medicine, or transportation? If your job disappeared, how long could you last before the pressure became unbearable? And if it happened to you, would you want people to assume you are lazy, or would you want them to understand the chain reaction? Because this story is not about those people. It is about people. And now we step into the first place where that contrast hits hard. Part 2, Venice Beach, the postcard that hides a street war. Venice Beach looks like a postcard from the outside. Sunlight, waves, music, tourists drifting along the boardwalk, a place people visit to feel free. But only a few steps away, the illusion fades. Tense-lined sidewalks, tarps flap in the ocean wind. Belongings are stacked like fragile walls, and the air carries the smell of damp clothes and exhaustion. People come to places like Venice because the weather is less punishing than other regions. But survival is not forgiving anywhere. You sleep lightly because you fear being robbed. You wake up fast because you fear being moved. You carry your life on your back because leaving it on the ground can mean losing it. And while people argue about what should be done, the street keeps doing what it always does. It wears people down. On the coast, the cold is subtle, not always dramatic, but enough to numb hands at night and stiffen joints in the morning. Then daytime heat returns and turns tents into stifling boxes. You cannot fully rest. You cannot fully recover. Outreach teams try to connect people to shelter, to services, to long-term housing options. But supply is limited and demand is constant. And in many street corridors, another danger grows quietly. An unpredictable street drug supply that can cause serious harm. Not because people want chaos, but because pain and trauma push some people toward temporary escape. Then the escape becomes a trap. When you see someone slumped on a sidewalk or drifting in and out of awareness, it is easy for the public to react with anger or disgust. But the truth is heavier. That is a human being whose body is overwhelmed. That is a human being whose life is unstable in every direction. That is a human being who may not trust help anymore because help has failed them too many times. And here is what almost nobody talks about. Even people who want to stop harmful habits often cannot get into treatment quickly. They face waiting lists, paperwork, rules that are hard to follow when you have no sleep and no storage and no stable phone. The system asks for stability as the price of receiving stability. So Venice becomes a symbol, a beautiful place where suffering is one block away, a wealthy economy where basic shelter remains unreachable for too many, a public conversation filled with opinions, while people on the ground just want one thing, a real chance. And that brings us to another place where the crisis is impossible to ignore, even for people who try. Part 3, Kensington. WHENA neighborhood holds too much pain. Kensington, Philadelphia is often described in harsh language online. But harsh language does not help anyone heal. It only makes it easier to look away. So we are going to describe it differently. Kensington is a place where exhaustion shows on faces, where poverty has lasted long enough to feel permanent, where the elevated train shakes overhead as people try to sleep near cold brick walls, where belongings scatter easily because there is no safe place to keep them. And in many blocks, emergencies happen so often that sirens begin to feel like background noise. That is not normal, and we should never pretend it is. In neighborhoods like this, the crisis is not one crisis. It is multiple crises stacked together. Housing instability, unemployment and low wages, untreated mental health needs, trauma, limited access to consistent medical care, and an unpredictable drug supply that increases risk dramatically. Outreach workers and volunteers return day after day with the same tools: food, water, clean socks, basic first aid, a calm voice, a list of services, and something else that matters more than people realize: presence. Because in the middle of chaos, presence says, you still matter. Presence says, I will not treat you like you are disposable. And that matters because stigma can be its own kind of violence, not physical violence, social violence, the violence of being treated as less than human. But even in Kensington, humanity still appears. Neighbors offering a warm meal, local groups cleaning small areas to reduce health risks, faith communities opening doors during cold nights, people helping strangers stand up, then stepping back with respect. Those gestures do not solve the entire crisis, but they keep the world from becoming colder. Kensington forces us to face a difficult question. If a community is overloaded with pain, who is responsible for relief? Only the people living there? Only the city? Only the state? Only somebody else? Or is it all of us, in different ways? Because homelessness is not a statistic. It is a collection of human lives happening in real time. And Kensington shows what happens when systems move too slowly. Which brings us to San Francisco's Tenderloin, a place that reveals the same truth with a different skyline. Part 4, the Tenderloin, when success and suffering share a sidewalk. San Francisco is often framed as a city of innovation, tech, wealth, big ideas, big buildings. But in the Tenderloin, the shine cracks wide open. You can walk a short distance from high-rise offices and enter streets where people are trying to survive minute by minute. The contrast can feel unreal, and that contrast creates a dangerous illusion. It makes the public think the crisis is localized, as if suffering can be contained to a few blocks, as if moving people from one street to another is progress. But what disappears from sight does not disappear from reality. When enforcement clears sidewalks, people scatter. They move into doorways, into alleys, into corners where the cold settles harder and help is harder to find. It becomes a shell game with human lives. In the Tenderloin, you see how homelessness reshapes behavior. People protect their spot. They keep one eye open. They avoid sleeping too deeply. They become cautious because caution is survival. And when you are living like that, your nervous system never rests. That is why small thefts and conflicts can increase in street corridors. Not always from cruelty, often from desperation. People are hungry, scared, and exhausted. Survival instincts sharpen. Trust collapses. Housing feels like a distant planet. In many cities with high rents, even full-time workers struggle to afford stable housing, especially without family support. Shelters and temporary programs may help some people, but far fewer beds exist than the need. So outreach teams do what they can. Meals, hygiene kits, referrals, and again, the most important thing, relationship. Because a person does not walk into stable housing from the street in one step. It usually takes many steps. Trust, paperwork, appointments, health support, transportation, consistency. And if any piece breaks, the person can fall back again. But even here, in one of the most criticized neighborhoods in America, you can still see resilience. Strangers sharing food, volunteers listening without judgment, someone offering a blanket to a person they met that morning. These moments do not make headlines, but they keep people alive. And now we move to places where weather becomes the main enemy, heat that can punish the body as severely as winter does. Because homelessness is not only a housing issue, it is a survival issue. Part 5, Heat Cities, when the sun becomes a threat. If you have never tried to rest outside during extreme heat, it is hard to imagine how fast the body breaks down. In Las Vegas, away from the Strip, people survive in storm drains, vacant lots, and underpasses. In the summer, heat can turn concrete into a burning surface. Water becomes everything. Shade becomes safety. And sleep becomes difficult because danger feels closer at night. In Phoenix, the sun can be merciless. A tent is not relief. It can become an oven. People sit in thin strips of shadow, fighting dizziness and dehydration. Outreach teams bring water and try to connect people to cooling centers. But not everyone can reach them. Transportation, mobility, and fear of losing belongings can trap people in place. In Houston, heat and humidity add another layer. Under highways and in wooded pockets, Makeshift shelters are built from tarps and scraps. Cooling centers exist, but access is uneven. When your day is dominated by searching for shade and water, it becomes harder to focus on long-term steps like paperwork and appointments. And in Miami, the heat mixes with humidity in a way that drains energy. Under bridges and near transit hubs, people struggle to breathe comfortably and stay clean. Dehydration sets in quickly, and without consistent hygiene access, dignity erodes day by day. Heat creates an emergency loop. You spend the day trying not to collapse. You spend the night trying not to be robbed or moved. Then you repeat. And when people's health and sleep are constantly compromised, mental health struggles often intensify. Anxiety grows. Depression deepens. Trauma reactions become more frequent. This is also where harmful coping patterns can spread, because people are desperate for relief. Again, we will say it clearly and safely. Substance use disorder is not a moral failure. It is often connected to trauma, pain, and instability. And the street environment makes recovery harder, not easier. So in heat cities, the crisis becomes visible in a different way. Not only tense, but fatigue, slow movement, people sitting still for long periods because their bodies are overwhelmed. People who look older than their age because stress accelerates time. And it leaves us with another question. If a city can build stadiums, towers, and tourist districts, why is basic survival still such a daily fight for so many? That question takes us into the final part of the story, because it is not enough to describe what is happening. We have to talk about what works. Part 6: What works? From survival to stability. When people debate homelessness, the conversation often gets stuck in extremes. One side says, enforce the rules. Another side says, show compassion. But real solutions require both safety and compassion, built into systems that actually function. Here's what consistently helps across cities. 1. Prevention first. The fastest way to reduce homelessness is to stop it before it begins. Emergency rental assistance, eviction prevention, legal support, short-term help that keeps a family housed is often cheaper and more humane than trying to rebuild a life after it collapses. 2. Low-barrier shelter and safer interim housing. Many people avoid shelters for reasons the public does not see. Safety concerns, crowding, rules that do not match real life, separation from partners, limits on belongings, limits that exclude pets that people rely on emotionally. Low-barrier options do not mean no structure. They mean structure that does not block a person from immediate safety. 3. Health and mental health care that meets people where they are. Street medicine teams, mobile clinics, outreach nurses, peer counselors, care that does not require perfect documentation on day one. When people can access consistent health support, their chance of stabilizing rises. For treatment access without long waiting windows. If someone says, I'm ready, the system should not answer, try again in 3 weeks. Readiness can be fragile. Fast access and follow-through can be the difference between progress and relapse. 5. Permanent supportive housing and truly affordable housing. Shelter is not the finish line. Housing is the finish line. Supportive housing works best for people with complex needs because stability improves health, reduces emergency visits, and gives people a base to rebuild. 6. Navigation that reduces friction. Replacing an ID, getting benefits, attending appointments, storing belongings, charging a phone, getting transportation. These sound small, but they are huge, because when the system is complicated, the street wins. And beyond programs, one factor changes outcomes more than many people realize. Human connection. A counselor saying, give yourself a chance. A volunteer saying, good to see you. A caseworker remembering a name. A neighbor offering respect instead of disgust. These do not fix housing supply, but they keep people from giving up before the solution arrives. And that brings us to the ending, what this story asks from all of us. Outro, don't look away. Look human. Across America, people are sleeping in places not meant for sleep. Sidewalks, doorways, underpasses, heat corridors, rain-soaked corners. And many wake up with the same fear. Will I be safe today? Will my belongings still be here? Will anyone treat me like I matter? Homelessness is not only a policy problem, it is a reflection problem. It reflects who we protect. It reflects who we ignore. It reflects what we accept as normal. And here is the truth we cannot avoid. No one can rebuild a life on nothing but contempt. No one can climb out while the world treats them as invisible. So what can you do, realistically, starting now? If you can give, support credible local outreach teams, shelters, and housing organizations. Even small, practical donations like socks, hygiene kits, and water supplies can make a difference. If you can volunteer, meal programs and street outreach often need consistent help, not just one-time attention. If you can advocate, push your city to invest in prevention, affordable housing, mental health access, and safer interim options. Ask for outcomes, not optics. And if you can only do one thing today, treat people with respect. A calm greeting, a non-judgmental look, and basic human recognition can be powerful. Because sometimes what keeps a person alive is not a roof that day. It is the feeling that someone still believes they can stand up again. This is Homeless US News. If you want more respectful, advertiser-friendly documentaries that tell the truth without dehumanizing anyone, subscribe now. And I want to hear from you. What do you believe America must do first? Build more affordable homes, expand prevention, improve mental health care, strengthen treatment access, or create safer interim housing? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this video if you want these stories to be seen instead of ignored. Because change does not begin when we argue louder. It begins when we look at someone suffering and decide, I will not pretend you are invisible.